So you're gonna do gachas. Well, I am slowly trying to do more gacha gaming, but I don't want to get away from what I'm doing normally, which is, although I say that I do horror and survival games, the games I've been playing all until now is just story games. Like, I want to finish all the games that I have that has a story, and then after that, I want to do like more gacha, more survival, more horror games, all of that stuff, because I just love gachas. I like Zenless Zone Zero, I like Wuthering Waves, and I'm kind of also excited for the new Ananta, formerly known as Project Mugen, that's gonna come out, I think, next year. I don't think it's gonna come out this year. That's only a maybe, I don't know. Then there's also Nevertheless to Everness that I'm not really excited about, but it looks better. They have improved it, and I'm thinking of actually trying it out too. I am way more into the gacha games that are more like modern style. I'm not saying that I hate fantasy. That's actually quite the opposite. I love fantasy anime, but it's just like, if you look at all gacha games, almost all of them are just fantasy, 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 fantasy. And I'm just tired of it. I want something else. That's why I love Zenless Zone Zero. It's not a fantasy. It's just, it takes place in a modern world about maybe like, what, 200 years more into the future. Because the only extra technology they have is they have virtual reality, where you can actually be in the game and you can clone people. That's basically it. Other than that, they have all the same technology that we have in real life. So it's just a little bit more into the future, and that's why I love it. The reason why Wuthering Waves to this day, in many people's eyes, are still the best gacha game is because there is so much to do in that game. And the sad thing is, Zenless Zone Zero is the opposite. When you're done with the story, all you can do is farm for materials and fight boss fights. There are no extra mini games or extra stuff. Other than recently, we have finally gotten like a Fall Guy game mode. That's kind of it. And then we have like some very, very small mini games you can play, but it's not really that like crazy interesting. We also don't have multiplayer, other than like very few modes you can play. And what's your opinion of Genshin, if you don't mind me asking? Well, I don't hate Genshin, it looks cozy, but in my opinion, it's just boring, because like last I played it was like, God, I can't remember, it's so long. And from what I hear from most people also, the game is just way too long. And also, the biggest deal breaker for me about why I can't get into playing Genshin Impact again is because you can skip the dialogue or the story. You can do that in Zenless Zone Zero. You can do that in Wuthering Waves. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just not interested in it. Also, the character models in Genshin, they don't look as good as they did in the beginning. But maybe it's just because I've gotten used to Zenless. Yeah, I will say though, Honkai Star Rail's models, they look fine. A little bit better than Genshin. Not much better. In my opinion, the best models. I know I'm biased towards Zenless Zone Zero, but it's just because Zenless Zone Zero is known for a few things. One, they are known for their crazy cartoonish animations. Like the 3D models of the characters are way more alive. Zenless Zone Zero is known for animations, unique character designs, jiggle physics, if that's a thing you're interested in, although many people complain about it being too sexualized. But in reality, that's only something you see in the trailers. In the game, if you don't want to die and rage when you play Zenless Zone Zero, you do not have time to go around and look at the character's assets. I'm just saying, you don't. So the people going around be like, oh, it's too sexualized. Bro, if you have time to look at that, then no wonder you complain. You're probably dying a lot in the game. And people also keep saying, well, oh, Zenless Zone Zero is such an easy game. You can play it with one hand. No, you can't. If you can, I would love to see you try. I'm not saying it's the hardest game in the world, but it is difficult when you get up to like level 60 and above. Like, it is ridiculously hard to actually fight the bosses and win. The weird thing about Zenless is, it's not the big boss fights that are difficult. It's the mini bosses you fight on the way up to the big boss that's difficult. It's all the mini bosses that's ridiculously difficult. But the big bosses themselves, easy. There's only one big boss fight that's really difficult that I never play. because you're lucky enough that you can choose what boss you want to fight in the game. You're not forced to having to fight one boss in most scenarios. I love Zenless Zone Zero, and I really want the game to succeed, but the biggest issue about the game is literally just the fact that there is nothing to do. Literally, that's it. There's nothing to do after the story other than farming for materials and boss fights, which again, many of the boss fights you can't even really like have a chance of finishing before you are at least level 60. Some you can in level 50, but most of them are level 60. Some are even over level 60. And another issue also, like, the Zenless Zone Zero characters can't even get to a higher level than 60. Like, the max character level you can get is 60. But bosses can get up to level 65, 70, which is like, those are like impossible to beat, almost. If not, for me it is. I've only managed to beat like 1 or 2 bosses at level 65. It's ridiculously difficult. But yeah, if you like action fighting games and something that's just different for a change and isn't just a fantasy and a fantasy and a fantasy and a fantasy, I will highly encourage you to play Zenless Zone Zero. But just like all the other gacha games, there is sadly a lot of dialogue. But you can skip them. You can skip the dialogue. But you do not get a summary of what they're talking about like you do in Wuthering Waves. In my opinion, out of all Hoyoverse games, Zenless Zone Zero is the best of them and the one that has the biggest potential to be an even better game as soon as we get more stuff to do besides the story.